Good morning. It's early here. It's 5:30 a.m. on the West Coast. And I had one of those nights where there was like no sleeping. And I mean no sleeping. Like where you wake up every 45 minutes to an hour, like you forgot to wake up for school and you're late for a big test, that like jarring awake. And so I would love to say I have this whole on brand message this morning, but I need to get on the road and I've committed to doing this every day. So I thought I would share kind of what my thoughts were last night. They're random and wild. And I think we all have those moments. Like I think we all have times where like we don't sleep and something is kind of disrupting our pattern. And today's a big milestone day for me in my startup life. And something really important happened a few months ago, and today we're like announcing it to the world. And it's exciting. There's a lot of moving parts, and today I get to spend the day in a truck, which is where I've spent the past couple of years. And so it's an interesting day, and I kind of feel a lot of things. And I feel a little nostalgic, like thinking about all the things it took to get here. And I feel a little remorseful about the toll it did to me personally along the way and to lots of us on the team. And, anytime you do something hard, there's going to be carnage, for lack of a better word. There's going to be things that are kind of that fall to whatever that thing is you're doing. And it's really, I just feel so much today. I feel like I have all the feels. I have happy feels, I have sad feels, I have nostalgic feels, I have just a plethora of feels, and maybe that's why I kept waking up last night. So there's just kind of a lot going on today, and I'm trying to be grounded in whatever it is that I feel and give honor to that. And when I have a thought that goes into my brain, just like sit with it for a little while and think to myself, like, where is this coming from? How do I feel? And then also just experiencing the day. This day is probably not ever going to come again, just the way this one is. Um, the other thing that this is so silly, like, how do I go from like this huge monumental milestone moment in my life to the thing I'm really thinking about is doesn't everybody know who Punxsutawney Phil is? So yesterday was Groundhog Day, and I just thought like it was on everybody's radar. This isn't like I'm smarter than everybody else or like I know more. This is just like I thought this was common knowledge. Like I thought everybody tracks Punxsutawney Phil. So we're in the car yesterday, me and a friend of mine, and so I was like, did Punxsutawney Phil see a shadow? And she looks at me and she's like, what? I was like, did he see a shadow? And she's like, did who see their shadow? And I'm like, wait a second, do you know who Punxsutawney Phil is? And she's like, no. And I was like, that's wild. It must just be her, right? Like she must be the only one who doesn't know who he is, right? So we're walking in to have a meeting, and I say to the two other people who are standing there, do you guys know who Punxsutawney Phil is? And they both have this blank look, and I'm like, what? And so last night when I wasn't sleeping, thinking about Punxsutawney Phil, I was like, what is like the baseline of knowledge that everyone has? Is there a baseline? Is there like some like we get pre-programmed with certain amount of stuff as a human? Or is everything something that we learned? Like I get we have to learn everything, but do you know what I mean? Like, is there some pieces of knowledge that everybody gets other than maybe like you have to die and pay taxes or something? I don't know. But like, what are the things that, is it regional? Is it generational? Like, I know that my generation, there's all kinds of things that we seem to know that other people kind of look at as crazy, but it really like, I don't know. Like, do you guys know who Punxsutawney Phil is? Do you track the groundhog? Anyway, it just really like also, did anybody see the movie with Bill Murray? Like it was great, it was fantastic. Like every day it's a loop, right? It's the same day every day, but then he starts to learn what's going to happen, and how does he choose to react differently? Is every day in this life just a loop? I don't know. Again, these are things we think about in the middle of the night, or at least I do. I'm sure you guys think about weird things too. I also had crazy dreams. Like my dad passed away a couple years ago, and the more time you spend with me, the more you'll hear about my kind of tumultuous relationship with my dad. And I had a really strange dream last night. We were in my childhood home, which I think it's been probably 15 years since my parents moved out of that home. And I was living in my old bedroom, but like as a grown up. And my dad was hollering from the kitchen, and he wanted me to come and do something. And then all of a sudden, all the stuff, like the house, they had remodeled the house many times, or like redecorated. And the curtains in the house had, like, when I looked in the kitchen, had flipped, like, as I was washing them, to the old curtains when I was a kid. They were peach. My mother went through a peach phase. If you were a kid of the 80s, the peach and the country blue was like a whole thing. But my mother went through a peach phase. We had peach carpet, we had peach curtains, like everything was peach. And so I just like walked in, and my dad had, my dream, he was doing something with like meat or whatever, had splashed stuff everywhere, which is so funny because my mother went through this long, extensive searching. Like, we went to North Carolina to the carpet factory to find the perfect color of peach. And like, it was like, I don't know, like the first week we had the carpet. This is real story. The first week we had the carpet, my dad was making a Boston butt, which is like one of the things he used to always cook. It was amazing and delicious on the grill. And my dad was just always a bull in a china shop. He was always like doing something physical and cut himself and was bleeding, or like just always something. And he dropped meat juice through the entire pathway from the back door, through the living room, through the dining room, and into the kitchen. And those stains never came out, and they were there forever. And I thought like a piece of my mother's soul had died for sure. And my dad was like, "It's fine." And then we just tracked her on. And like, they tried to clean it, but it just never came out. So anyway, so in my dream last night, it was just very strange. And I was like back in my childhood home, and my dad was there, and he just said some really strange things. And it was very strange because he was young in my dream. And I said to him, I was like, it's going to get bad when you get older. And he just looked at me and he's like, "It's okay," and just stared at me. And I wonder if like my brain was trying to work through like people age and people change. My dad was this very vibrant. No, vibrant isn't the right word. He's a very strong man's man. He could build or fix or do anything. There was nothing my dad couldn't do. He was a beautiful human. Had these super piercing blue eyes. And he wasn't he wasn't the nicest guy. Like, he would help anybody out, would do anything for anybody, but he was very piercing with his words. His eyes pierced just like his words did. Anyway, and so this dream was just wild. And then he's got older, like, he couldn't do all the things that he, like, there was no grass that grew under my dad's feet. He had to hurry up and get home so he could take a nap. He always packed more into his 5 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock in the morning than I would do usually all day. And I'm a pretty productive human. And so as he got older, he'd lost his ability to do all those things. And now that I'm saying this out loud, I wonder if it was my mind processing through, as we get older, like, we lose the ability. The things that we can do now are not things we can do when we're older. His body he was in a really bad accident when he was young, and broke his back in a few places and was thrown out of a windshield. It was pretty traumatic. Spent some time in the hospital, and he aged. Everybody ages. But it was just this very stark contrast from this wildly capable, always on the go human to somebody who needed help to do things. And the last week of his life was pretty traumatic for everybody involved. But it was just such a weird dream that it was as real as I'm sitting here talking to you, as real as anything else I've experienced the past few days, where I was talking to him. I was this version of me. He was younger. He was more like the version of him that was in that house with the peach curtains. And he wasn't too alarmed that there was going to get to be a point where he was old and couldn't do stuff. I often wonder if, I do think there's a million realities. There's a million what could happen today. Life could change in a second. I'm very well aware of that. But I wonder if we would do things differently today if we knew that, and really knew and could see what life was like down the road. They make movies about it all the time. There was this really cool movie recently with Kevin Costner, and it really struck me because he had this moment of clarity where he realized he probably wasn't the nicest guy either, and tried to then make some amends and change the outcomes and change who he was. He would look back at his waypoints and was like, "Wow, I didn't realize that's kind of how I came off." So maybe it's a good reminder from my brain that was processing whatever data it was processing last night, that things are not guaranteed. Life is forever and life is not forever. And maybe we should make the most of the time we have with the able body that we have while we can do it. And whether it's an able body or an able mind or whatever we are given in our younger days, because, minds are also fragile too. I don't know. It was just kind of a weird night. It was a weird night of lots of dreams, a lot of self reflection, a lot of sitting there just staring at the hotel ceiling. Um, I've spent a lot of time in this hotel, probably more nights than I do in my own home. And so it feels like home. I don't feel like I'm somewhere else. So it was just a very interesting day. I'm going to go spend time with my truck today, um, with my Bob, and see what today brings. I'm going to head across the coast to the coast of California. I'm in Sacramento now, so I'm heading to the Bay, and got a lot of fun things. By fun things, I mean productive business things planned today. And so we'll just see what the day brings. And I'm going to feel all the feels. So if you guys are also feeling all the feels, or if you're also just like, if you're having a big milestone day or you're not, or if you had a bad night of sleep or not, or whatever it is you're feeling, just feel whatever you feel today. That's part of life. Not every day is this like predictive, planned thing that we can control. So I'm going to be present today. You should too.